Hey everyone! Today what we're going to look at is the MYP Writing Rubric for the Walk to Moons theme essay that you're currently working on. We wanted to break it down for you so you could see exactly what it is you're being graded on so you can get the highest grade possible. This is the paperwork that you're going to see. You're going to notice that there are lots of words on this paper, and really what we want to focus on here for the essay that you're writing is this column, the 7-8 column, because the score runs between, you can either get a 1 or you can get an 8. And why bother looking at anything other than the highest column, okay? Because we want you to get the highest grade possible. You'll notice that in this column there are lots of bullets, and there's lots of different paragraphs that we want you to read. So what we did was we broke it down into how your paragraph is structured so you can see exactly where in this rubric, in your paragraphs or your essay, you're going to see this information, okay? And we're going to start off with the claim, okay? So when we look at the rubric, in the rubric it says develop a claim that addresses the assessment's task. Okay, so we're going to be specifically looking at, is your thesis statement addressing the task and how well did you develop it? We're going to be looking at your body paragraphs. Did you have claims there, and were they part of the assessment's task? Were you meeting the criteria? Okay, following that, the rubric is going to look at your supporting details. Were you able to construct sophisticated ideas through relevant details? Okay, a lot of us can put in random details, but unless they're relevant to the task, and unless they have a level of sophistication to them, they're not going to score as high as the rubric, okay, or on the rubric as we would like to see. So you want to make sure the details that you're pulling make sense, answer the question, and support your claim. One of the more important pieces is your text evidence, the evidence that you're choosing to write in your essay. We want to make sure that it's not just random evidence. We want to make sure it's compelling evidence from the text that really supports what you're trying to say in your essay. This is going to be the hardest part of your essay because you're not given what page numbers and what chapters. You're going to have to really think about where in the text this evidence is, and you have to try to locate it, okay? And it's going to take some time, but finding the best text evidence is most important here because this is a really big part of the rubric. Because not only does it say draw compelling evidence, but you want to find clearly and effectively cite several pieces of text evidence, okay? Just because one little sentence in the text marginally supports what you're trying to say, you are going to want to find the best text evidence that's compelling, that really drives home the idea in your argument. Following that, your explanations, you need to have develop a deep analysis of this. Okay, you need to thoroughly explain through inferences how this text evidence supports the requirements. Okay, now when we say thoroughly explain, it does not mean you say this shows and then simply restate whatever the text evidence is. You need to thoroughly explain using your background knowledge and inferences to explain and elaborate how that text evidence really connects the ideas together, okay? If you try to turn in a paper or an essay with your blue sentences, your explanation sentences, that are just a restatement of what the text evidence is saying, for example, if you were to say, this proves that Margaret is a creepy person. If you were to say that, you're not developing it and you're not giving inferences, okay? You have to have explanations that really, really support it with multiple sentences and using those inferences, okay? Last but not least, there's two different ways for the conclusion that this MYP rubric is looking at. You have to provide a concluding statement at the end of each paragraph that summarizes those body paragraphs, but it also is looking at, did you provide a concluding paragraph at the end of your essay? So you have a concluding statement for the body paragraphs, but then you have a concluding paragraph that summarizes the entire essay, okay? The next thing that you're going to be looking at, or that the rubric really does look at, is word choice. Are you using tier 2 words effectively, okay? And are you using sophisticated sentence structure? If you have a series of sentences that are short and choppy and, don't have a lot of meat to them, you're going to get dinged there on the rubric. The other thing is we want to make sure that you're really looking at applying a variety of transition words and sentence starters. If you keep saying this shows, this shows, this shows, this shows, you're not really developing that idea of or using a skillful use of transition words. Okay, if you keep saying to begin, also, it gets repetitive, and that's where it lowers your sophisticated sentence structure. It also lowers the effective use of vocabulary. So we really want to see how skillful you are with varying your transition words and sentence starters. You are given a cheat sheet to use. Those cheat sheets have multiple bullets of how to start sentences. Use one of those, okay? Or use those to help you. Your conventions are also being graded. We want to make sure that you can consistently demonstrate the knowledge of capitalization, punctuation, and spelling. You are typing these, so it is easier to do typos when you're doing this. We want to make sure that you are turning in a paper, or you want to make sure you're turning in a paper that's got limited typos, and make sure that you've capitalized and you've used punctuation and you've used the space bar and the tab button appropriately so that your essay does not have many errors. Really, the language in the rubric says turn in a final product with limited errors. Okay. Here's the rubric again, so you can kind of look through it. It really is what I just broke down for you, and I made it in a more simplified way. Okay, we were looking at that column again. And then here's basically the summary, so that if you wanted to pause the video at this point and just look at this page so you can see exactly as a summary what was said in this video, you'll have it right here. Okay, if you have any questions on how you're being graded, you should always and can always ask one of your teachers. We'd be more than glad to help. Okay, so again, this is the summary of the MYP rubric for the Walk Two Moons Summative Assessment and the In the Course of a Lifetime unit. Okay? All right, good luck and happy writing.